Hey, thanks for coming. Welcome to the Love Shack.
Hey, welcome to the Love Shack. It's a little place where we get together, explore fresh perspectives, and eavesdrop on juicy conversations and uncover the mysteries that nobody talks about but absolutely influences our relationships. If you are struggling with your special someone and or desire to create love that lasts the long haul, this show is dedicated to you. Today is episode number 70, and we are going to share feeding your passions. We're going to share with you an ultimate guide to the aphrodisiac foods for your Valentine's Day dinner. So if by chance you find yourself looking for that perfect menu to set the mood for Valentine's Day, look no further. We're going to share with you some of the best aphrodisiac foods that will have your partner wanting more. I'm Stacey Bartley, and I'm an integrative couples therapist and divorce mediator, and I'm here with my partner and co-host, Tom. Today, we also have Amy Reiley, an expert in aphrodisiac foods, and she's going to talk about some of the best foods that are sure to get you in the mood this Valentine's Day. As you can probably hear, this is our Valentine's Day episode special. Whether you're looking to cook up a romantic dinner at home or you want to impress your partner with something special, I want you to know we've got you covered in this episode, so sit back, relax, and let us show you what's on the menu today.
Yeah, and I myself included, I thought most people think of aphrodisiacs as being something exotic or strange, but that's not the case at all.
So true. So we're going to talk about aphrodisiacs and how they work, what the best ones to choose are. Can they really improve men and women's sexual health? So stay with us as we're answering these questions and more, as well as hopefully inspire you to create an unforgettable Valentine's Day. It's time to tantalize your taste buds and give your relationship a boost with this ultimate aphrodisiac guide, foods for your Valentine's Day celebration. You got this going, right, for us?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Prepare to be amazed.
Go grab your favorite beverage and we'll be right back.
I met Stacy and Tom about 2 years ago. I was at a point in my relationship where I was ready to file for divorce. Not that I wanted to, but I just felt hopeless and helpless. I'd been through other counseling and coaching and didn't find any success. With Stacy and Tom's methods, I was able to eliminate insecurities, set boundaries, plant my flag, eliminate rabbit holing. I was separated from my wife for a year, and I have since moved back home for the last 6 months now. I still refer back to a lot of the teaching that Stacy and Tom provided, and it's helped me. It's well worth it.
Learn the simple 3-step system to rescue your struggling relationship by registering for Stacy's brand new free workshop. Reserve your seat by going to staceybartley.com/workshop.
Are you ready to venture off the beaten path, expand your mind, raise your consciousness, and open your heart? Allow me to entice you with interviews with amazing souls from around the world. Indulge in history, mystery, science, and spirituality. There's weekly skin tips, live esoteric readings, and answers to life's burning questions. So come join me, Sakura, your host, intuitive medium and spiritual hypnotherapist, each Wednesday at 2 to 3 p.m. right here on KKNW for Love from the Hip.
This is Nathan Mum and Mike Renee from Tech Time with Nathan Mum.
Hey, Mike, it's been a couple weeks now, and we're on Kixie and on KKNW. What do you think about this great relationship?
I think it's fantastic.
It is. You know what? I can't believe the excitement that we've gathered with our Tech Time radio show. We're so excited to be broadcasting it out all over everywhere. And, of course, you can still always listen to it on KKNW 1150 Saturdays from 4 to 6 p.m. and on Thursdays from 6 to 7 a.m. Don't miss out on the best technology news without having to geek out.
I think it's fantastic.
Going against the grain has never been this much fun. Alternative Talk 1150.
Jack, we are your host, Tom and Stacey Bartley, along with our engineer, Eric Ryder. Great to have you with us. Excuse me, I got tangled on my tongue right there. This is episode, because I'm so dang excited, episode 70. This is a Valentine's. If you're listening live or whenever you catch it, you can always, step back into Valentine's Day whenever you want. And if you know of anyone that's looking to spice up their Valentine's Day in a very unique way, we would respectfully ask you to share this episode with them. We're really, really excited. We're going to jump right into what we call the heart of the matter today. We have Amy Reiley is sharing her wealth of knowledge on aphrodisiacs. I love that word, aphrodisiacs, and how they can spice up your Valentine's Day celebration.
Yeah, so whether you're looking to spice up your relationship or just want an excuse to cook a romantic Valentine dinner, this episode is sure to give you all the information that you need. So before we go much further in this conversation, we need to bring on the aphrodisiac specialist. Amy Reiley is an authority on aphrodisiac foods and a freelance wine writer and wine competition judge. Boy, would I love to be in your shoes. She's also a speaker, cookbook author, and a consultant. She's earned her Master's of Arts in gastronomy from France's culinary temple, La Cordon Bleu. While at Cordon Bleu, Reiley rose to prominence in her work in culinary aphrodisiacs and released her first book that we're going to give away today on the show during our Follow the Fun moment. And I love the name, Fork Me, Spoon Me, the Sensual Cookbook. So like if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about where we're going, that's exactly where we're going. Amy, thank you so much. And taking the time. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Your people are definitely my people.
Oh, yes, I know. And I knew that from the moment that you and I crossed paths and met and fell in love immediately with your work, especially after meeting your beautiful smiling face. And if we may, I would love to open up the show with an excerpt that you have in the very beginning of your book in your introduction. And I remember the moment I read it a few weeks ago and I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be a great opener for the show.
Oh.
And here's what she writes briefly. A man I dated 2 or 3 times offered to cook for me. Because I'm involved in the food business, most men never work up the nerve to make me a meal. I was impressed by the boldness of this invitation, and yes, I was pretty doubtful about his cooking skills, but worry was overshadowed by my interest in what was clearly an open invitation to seduction. Any man who invites you over to dinner on the 3rd date has more than whipping up souffle on his mind. The meal was delicious. The mood was electric. There was a white fish and a mango sauce, chocolate, white wine, red wine, and strong cups of coffee that carried us deep into the night. Like, that took me away. And that's what we want to help you do today in your very own life, Love Shack listeners. And this is why we've invited Amy to come and be with us in the Love Shack today so that we can create more moments like that.
And let me just assure our engineer, Eric, don't worry. We've got this covered. We know we're radio live. So Eric's got his finger on that button right now. So no worries. We got you. No way. We got you, Eric. Don't worry. Tom, otherwise known as Radar, is here too. So we'll keep it all good.
So now that we've got us all panting a little bit, I've got to ask the first question, because when I was introduced to aphrodisiac foods, I really wanted to know, like, do they work? Like, is there really something to the science as well as the stories in regards to aphrodisiac foods? And I'd love to start with you exploring that a bit with us.
Well, the best way I can explain it is that if you look historically at the majority of cultures that celebrated foods as aphrodisiac, they were living in times when people were basically starving, right? Food was never in abundance like it is now. And so when you think, when food was a scarcity, that people were kind of saving these things and using for these special purposes, they clearly had to, see that they worked for them, right? Mm-hmm. Now, it wasn't until, modern times that we can figure out, oh, well, that one has lots of manganese and that's really important for men's sexual health. Or, oh, this one raises your body temperature and can cause the release of endorphins and kind of makes you feel that sort of, if you're with someone you're attracted to, you might feel a bit of that sexual feeling. That kind of thing we now can understand scientifically. But, clearly, I mean, I knew when I started working on this, there weren't a lot of scientific studies at the time. I've been studying this topic for, over 15 years. Wow. And there's an increasing number of, investigations more into how food can support sexual health than anything else, but that's really important. But, I knew from the beginning, like these people, like this stuff was so important to them. They had to have felt something from it.
Mm-hmm. Now, that's a really good point. And I know that you point out in your book that you've actually chosen 12 foods. And the reason that you chose them was because of its not only folklore, historically, the stories around the foods, but also those that had actually been scientifically researched as well. So I got to ask the question, just in getting to know you a little bit more, is what led you to studying while you were at Le Cordon Bleu? What was it, the inspiration? Do you have a personal story behind this besides your boyfriend?
I mean, and the funny thing is that wasn't actually my story. I stole that story because it was so good. Once I started writing about aphrodisiacs, people loved to come to me with these wonderful stories, and I just filed them all away in my brain and just pulled them out whenever they, serve me well. So I have my own too, but I've been told some really amazing stories like that one. Anyway, I was working as a freelance wine writer. And it's still like my favorite thing to write about, if I'm being honest. But I wanted to write about more of the food and wine world. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to diversify, I probably need to write about food. But I'm not qualified to be a restaurant critic because I really feel that you need either restaurant experience or at least, a culinary degree, something further than just understanding like what good food tastes like in a restaurant. So that was out. And I really love folklore. And I really love the nutrition and health side of food. And when I discovered aphrodisiacs, I realized I could be writing about folklore and nutrition all in the same topic. And it just seemed really cool to me. So it was very challenging at first. Most of the work on aphrodisiacs I could find was from an anthropological perspective. Mm-hmm. It wasn't really looked at as a culinary thing. It wasn't looked at as delicious or how can we use it or how can we have a romantic dinner. That kind of didn't exist. So it was fun and challenging, and I like a challenge. And so here I am.
Oh, that's so great. I love the study of what you've brought together here, and not only using what you know from a culinary standpoint of view, but from this wonderful way that foods affect our bodies. And I just got to ask, knowing that you are a wine lover like myself, cheers.
Cheers. I actually chose one purposefully for this evening that kind of, I felt, lent itself well to the theme. First of all, pink bubbles. I mean, very Valentine-y, right? Mm-hmm. But also the wine is called 15 Minutes of Fame.
That's perfect.
So cheers.
Cheers. Well, and I've got to ask you, wine is an aphrodisiac, right? I mean, it certainly is for me.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Navigating the silent, complex moments of separation or your partner's need for space can feel like walking through a maze without a map. If this sounds familiar, know that you are not alone. This journey, filled with uncertainties and introspection, requires a gentle, understanding guide. Hey, I'm Brooke from Love Shack Live. We see you, and more importantly, we get it. That's why we created the Separation Support Bundle. A collection of resources designed to not just guide you through separation, but to offer comfort and clarity during these times. Our separation guide offers insights and support to help make sense of your emotions and the process of separation. And for those moments when words escape you, our guide on 10 texts to send when navigating space provides thoughtful prompts to help communicate with compassion. Plus, a soothing separation meditation to help ease the overwhelming moments. Because sometimes all we need is a starting point, or a way to start feeling okay again. Remember, you don't have to journey through these complexities of separation alone. Our Separation Support Bundle is here to accompany you, guiding you towards healing, understanding, and most importantly, the renewed sense of self. Visit stacybartley.com/bundle today to access your free separation support bundle. At Love Shack Live, we're all about exploring the real stuff that relationships bring, the good and the challenging. So let's tackle this together, because even in the hardest times, there's hope, growth, and yes, even love to be found.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And in fact, it's funny, I was just writing something about that today. I was updating. I have an article on my website, eatsomething.sexy.com. It's funny. It's hard to say that to you guys without giggling.
We love it. We'll giggle right along with you.
But on eatsomething.sexy.com, I was just updating. I have an article on there about how to seduce someone with wine. And it's really built on the principles of a vintner and physician, Dr. Max Lake, from Australia, who discovered that the scents of certain wines replicated the scents of human pheromones.
That's fantastic.
And if you want to get really deep into this, you should go read the article, because I don't think we have enough time here to really go that far. But I always, when someone's like, well, what's, one wine for a romantic occasion, I always say go with sparkling wine. Like me. Because, I mean, if you like sparkling wine, and that's a very important point with all aphrodisiacs, it has to be something that both people enjoy. My husband does not enjoy sparkling wine. He enjoys watching me drink it, though.
I bet he does. Tom and I went to Italy, and we came home with this love of sparkling wine. That has to be one of our faves.
Nice.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is the reason I recommend sparkling wine is because it's a drink that's a bit celebratory. Like, who opens sparkling wine when they're depressed? And just that pop of that cork. It's like, oh, something special's about to happen. And then, of course, the bubbles, it makes the alcohol enter your bloodstream a little faster. So you feel that little bit giddy. It also means that you'll tend to drink a little less because you feel it more quickly, which is also a very good thing when you're talking about romance. I hate the word moderation, but in reality, it becomes very important, if your goal is an amorous pursuit, shall we say. To not lose your abilities in between start to finish.
Well, I would say to get the full, experience of the entire evening.
Exactly.
Right?
There's that too. Yeah.
Well, I want to dive into your 12 foods, and I'm hoping that we have enough time for you to touch on each one and why you selected them. It was fascinating to read about them. Not all of them. I won't hold you to the test.
It's so funny. This is my first book. I've actually written 4 after this. And I remember when I was doing a book tour for this book, and I could not remember. Now I have no idea what the 12 ingredients are. At the time, I couldn't remember them, to the point where I was thinking about tattooing them on my arm.
Well, we're going to go ahead and share them with you, so don't worry about that.
Don't do that. Well, you start out with almonds, which I didn't think almonds were an aphrodisiac food. I don't know if our listeners are surprised as I was, but I didn't think almonds would be on the list. When I think of like aphrodisiac foods, I think of like oysters. I guess that's maybe the normal go-to. It's interesting too. I don't know. I mean, might be interesting to ask is where do you go? Where it comes up for listeners when they think of aphrodisiac foods, right?
Yeah.
Like what comes up for you? Where do you go?
Kind of a cosmic blank immediately. And then I don't know if it would have been almonds, would have been first thing that rolled off my tongue. So please share with us, Amy, why almonds?
So by the way, these 12 ingredients, I selected them because they're things that you could buy in pretty much any grocery store. I didn't want to put the things that I didn't want to put oysters on there,
Sure.
Because you may or may not be able to get them or know how to shuck them or whatever. But almonds, I love almonds. Almonds is an aphrodisiac. This is a good one for men. In fact, I have a list on eatsomething.sexy.com. I'm going to giggle every time I say that. I have a list of the 10 best foods for men's sexual health. Almonds on the list.
Wow.
Yes. Now, all nuts are actually great for men. Sorry. But seriously, all they are, they help support testosterone. It's all about men's sexual health as far as almonds go. The nutrients in almonds are particularly good for men's sexual health. That being said, also good for women. Nuts are a great source of plant-based protein. They also have fiber. And I know you wouldn't think of protein and fiber as like foods to turn you on. And they may not, protein and fiber aren't going to turn you on in that moment, but the protein's going to help you have a nice sustained performance. And the fiber is going to help you. You need enough fiber to look and feel like your sexy self.
Really?
Yeah.
The only thing I've ever heard about fiber is it helps you poop.
Well,
and so that's immediately everywhere I go is like, but that's
you
so
got to
wonderful.
keep everything moving. You know,
Yeah.
you don't bloat. You get enough fiber, you're not going to get bloated.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. So it all works
All
out in the end.
have to be working.
It all works out
like a Rolls Royce machine.
Yes, I love that. And almonds for men's sexual health. So I guess that those are the ingredients that help stimulate the hormones and the rise of testosterone, etc. Oh, that's so great. Okay.
Food number 2.
Number 2 is chili.
Ooh,
the spice of chili.
That's my favorite. It's actually not my favorite to eat, which is the funny thing. But to talk about as an aphrodisiac, chili is very exciting. It's one of the few foods that has that immediate effect. It is an absolute food of seduction. If you want to plan a dinner, a romance where you want the other person to kind of get a little turned on, chili peppers, as long as they don't mind spice. Mm-hmm. Very important. Yes. But chili peppers, they make your tongue tingle. They make your lips plump up, which makes you look a little more kissable. They can also bring a bit of a flush to your cheeks, which I'm told psychologically equates to a sexual flush. If the person across the table has chemistry with you, it starts to equate to a sexual flush in their mind. And you eat enough, you can have like a rush of endorphins. Your body temperature is rising. You're ready to tear off your clothes. It's really the perfect food.
For that seductive moment. Mm-hmm. So how do we know, or if I were preparing a meal and I wanted to put just the right type or just the right amount of chili in my little dish to make you tear your clothes off, like how much would that be?
Well, I mean, to get that sort of endorphin rush, you have to really eat a lot of chili. Most of us don't want to do that. There are some people who do, and for you, have fun. But that little bit of chili, you'll know the amount that you actually want to eat. If you like to go light on spice, then it's a very small amount. If you kind of like a meal with a bit of heat, then go for it.
I love it. The next one is one of my personal favorites, which is chocolate. And I read in the book, it was one of your moms too, that she kind of inspired you with your love of chocolate.
As I had a little time to regather because you sprung that question on me, I can't believe I didn't think of chocolate because I love chocolate. So.
Chocolate. Yes. Chocolate is probably the ultimate, like at least in the United States, it's the ultimate like food emblem of romance. It is. In fact, my company did a study many years ago. It was a survey and the respondents, I think 90% of the respondents said they viewed chocolate as the ultimate romantic gift. They reviewed it as, a food of romance. They viewed it as a food they wanted to receive as a gift, particularly for Valentine's Day. Everybody loves to get chocolate.
And does it matter if it's dark versus milk chocolate?
So yes. Is not in terms of getting it as a gift or, feeling that love feeling from receiving the chocolate. No, but in terms of the aphrodisiac effects, it needs to be dark chocolate. I'm sorry, milk chocolate lovers, but it's really all about the cacao. It's about that you're getting those aphrodisiac effects from cacao, which did you know it's one of the world's most complex foods? We really don't even understand it.
No, tell us more.
We know that it has a caffeine-like effect, which is helpful in terms of romance. You get a little bit of you get a little pick-me-up. We know that it can also be a little bit of a mood elevator. Apparently, there have been, I don't know if you've heard rumors fly around about chocolate that it could actually even be orgasmic.
No.
Yeah.
But it makes sense.
It turns out it's actually true, but a British scientist who apparently does not like fun. No, he figured out how much chocolate it would take to have that experience. And he estimated that the average sized woman would have to eat like 20 pounds of chocolate in one sitting or something crazy. So none of us are ever going to feel that. It could be possible if you could eat that much chocolate. We're never going to get there.
So we just have to take ourselves there in our minds. I mean, there is something in the imagination or in the senses, right? In regards to what you experience when you think of chocolate.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's creamy and it melts in your mouth. And it's like, it's sweet, but not too sweet. It usually has a fairly complex flavor. It's an exciting food just to eat, which I'm sure plays a part.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you can melt it and, you can do all kinds of things with chocolate.
Absolutely.
And then it has this wonderful constitution that like hardens,
Yes.
so.
And if you follow it with a swig of port, it's all over.
I think we know what we're doing for Valentine's Day.
All right.
How about some figs?
Figs. Oh.
Figs. Oh, figs. Figs are wonderful. Figs. I always think of women when I think of the fig. And I think, the author D.H. Lawrence had a bit of an obsession with figs and women and saying the fig looked like a certain part of the woman.
I see that.
And so now I always think of women and figs, but I see it like as this wonderful sort of misty Rubenesque kind of, sensual woman. But again, figs have it, but beyond my fantasies about figs, they also have a number of nutrients that support sexual health. As you might have guessed, figs have a lot of fiber, which we've already covered. And so, so a great aphrodisiac food. They are a sort of plump, sensual fruit that doesn't have too much sugar. So you're never going to get like a sugar rush, because that's something you want to avoid, because then you'll crash right when you're ready to turn on the romance. So
yeah, got it. You get too tired or you get a headache. Yeah.
Bad thing.
Ginger. I love ginger. And I was so delighted to see it in the book. Like, oh my gosh, I love ginger. And I love your reference to ginger, but I'm going to let you tell the story.
I don't remember my reference to ginger.
the giggly geisha. Like
the giggly geisha. Yes. So I do love ginger. And this is a wonderful alternative to chili peppers for anyone who doesn't like a lot of spice. Ginger has a lot of the same properties. It will, I don't know if you know this, but there are a lot of lip plumping glosses and lipsticks out there. They usually have a little ginger in them.
Really? And so it kind of stimulates.
It'll like sort of do it as an irritant, and it'll plump up your lips. So when you eat ginger, you can, it can have that effect, and your tongue tingles a little and you warm up inside a little bit.
No wonder we love ginger. I do too. I love ginger. How about honey?
Oh, honey. Honey, actually, if you want a food that has some proven effects as aphrodisiac, go for honey. Honey can produce nitric oxide.
Wow.
Yeah.
That could be really helpful.
The whole blood flow thing. And, it's supposed to be good for men and women. So honey is right up there, and it has some other, it has, obviously trace amounts of minerals, but they're all very good for you. Now, honey is one of those things like you don't want a shot of honey because, as we already talked about, it is a simple sugar and you'll have that crash. But a bit of honey is a very, very good choice for you.
Okay, mangoes. And by the way, I love Sark too. She's one of my favorite authors.
I love Sark too. Oh. Awesome.
Eating mangoes naked was something that was kind of a mantra, I think, for some of us women back in the early 90s, like, gosh darn it, I can be sensuous and sexy and I don't have to feel ashamed about this anymore.
And eat mangoes naked. Well, really, mangoes are like, a whole mango is so messy. Is there really any other way to eat it than naked? Because
I thought the same.
You're just kind of a mess at the end. So, once I heard, eat mangoes naked, I was like, mangoes make so much more sense to me, because if you eat them naked, you can enjoy every sensual moment of this very juicy, messy fruit. Mango, that's it. Mango is the juicy, messy fruit. And how can you not love that?
Yeah. And followed right along by peaches. I have the same experience with peaches as well that you have also listed in the book. The peaches that, they do the same thing for me as mangoes to you. Is that your case too? They run down your arms.
The juicy, messy fruit. You want to eat peaches naked too. Yes. And now, the peach emoji is used as sort of as a in a sexual context.
Oh,
so peach is hot.
I did not know that, listeners. Yeah. You heard it first here.
Right inside the love shack.
Use that peach emoji if you're trying to flirt with somebody. How about mint?
Oh, mint. So mint is wonderful for so many reasons. It's one of my favorite herbs, personally. I mean, I think it's just a versatile herb that kind of not only it freshens your breath, it kind of just perks you up. So it's irresistible in that way. Again, it does have, although it's trace amounts of nutrients, because you're not going to eat like a bowl full of mint like salad, but it does have nutrients to help support sexual health as well. But mostly I like it because it's the breath freshening herb. It's the kind of invigorating herb as well.
And the sexual health properties, does that go both ways for men and women? Or
yeah. Most of them do. Although, you can say, well, this one is really better for men because because men need more whatever. But the majority of aphrodisiacs, you can say, yeah, it could help both sexes. Yeah.
Well, and if you want to get a kiss, that's probably not a bad way to start, right?
Yes.
Chew up a little mint.
Exactly.
And I felt like there was this place now in the book where you start to lean towards more of the savory types of things, right? It went from the sweets to now we're talking about rosemary. And I just the idea of rosemary, but tell us about rosemary.
Rosemary is my other favorite herb, which is why I put it in there. It's so versatile, but it's good for memory, which is very important. You've got to remember what the other person likes, right? So
it's helpful.
So, aphrodisiacs don't just affect like sexual performance. There's a whole lot going on there. You need to have your brain working well. You need to have enough energy to last long, all of these things. And so rosemary slides in there into a little area that I kind of neglected otherwise.
And saffron comes right behind it.
Well, saffron is the luxury spice.
Tell us
that's
more.
Really, it's beautiful. It gives food this deep, rich color. It's the most expensive spice. In fact, I think it is the most expensive ingredient. I don't know currently, these things fluctuate, but for a while there, it was the most expensive culinary ingredient, which fortunately you only need to use a tiny amount. So you're not going to go broke making a dinner with saffron. But it lends that sense of luxury and opulence, that opulent color, that opulent aroma, that it's so unique. It's a spice, but it gives like a savory, meaty quality to food. It's kind of an exciting spice. So saffron fits in there very nicely.
I love listening to her talk about food. Are you having that same experience? The way you talk about food is incredibly delicious. Vanilla.
Vanilla. How can you not love vanilla? Now, vanilla is a funny one. There was a study, and you've probably heard of it, the Smell and Taste Research Foundation study. I hope I said their name right.
I haven't heard of it, but tell us.
So it was the one where they found out that the scent of Good and Plenty candy mixed with cucumber turned women on.
Oh,
no.
Yeah.
Wow.
And pumpkin pie spice and lavender was the most arousing scent for men. So they did these were controlled studies where people were in a sleep state. And these things aroused them. They measured blood flow. But one of the things they found was that it's like women were attracted to older men. Like the scent of vanilla. Oh no, I know what it was. The scent of vanilla was attractive to older men. So if you want to land a sugar daddy, apparently, just like dab vanilla behind your ears. I mean, it was really interesting. It was really bizarre. Glazed donuts were also big with both men and women.
Wow, interesting.
Well,
where I go is, in the fall, there's all kinds of, jokes and yet they're true about women and their pumpkin pie spice handles,
potpourri,
aromatherapy types of things. Like we go gaga all of a sudden for pumpkin pie spice, right? Anything pumpkin.
You know what? Every time I see it, I just start laughing because, of course, the study is all I can think about for an entire month. That's all I think about is that study. And like, wow, I wonder how people are doing.
There must be something to that study.
Yes, yeah. Well, it was legitimate, but it was just bizarre, the combinations of things that turned people on. That was the fascinating part.
Yeah, that is fascinating when it comes to food. And you wouldn't think that food had those kinds of experiences in us. And yet
Right.
when we stop to slow down and think about them, they absolutely do.
Yeah.
And I love what you said here in the book, where you said when you began to experiment with these 12 ingredients that she showcases in her book, and then I want you to give us some menu ideas for this Valentine's Day that we're coming up with using these ingredients. You notice that the chosen ingredients began to form these unique bonds with you. And you discovered that each ingredient brought out a different side of your personality, and that you could choose ingredients that changed your mood and enhanced whatever style of seductress you wanted to step into becoming. And that was a fascinating thought to me, because I'd never thought about, okay, how do I want the evening to go? And how do I want to set it up? And, what is it I would like to express about myself, and which foods, and or wines or beverages would pair nicely with where it is I want to go. And I just thought that was such a unique mindset to come from, that hopefully inspires our listeners. Like, that's possible. That's possible when we start to bring these things together. And then, by the way, I want us to talk about venues too, because I love that you have that as a part of the cookbook, where the venues are places where we can plan to have these wonderful, savory experiences, and how that all ties into all of it. So I would love for you to take a minute and kind of pull that all together. And then in the end, we can share perhaps a menu idea.
Okay. So, well, it's funny. What I thought of when we were talking before this interview, you'd asked me if there's a song that I like to listen to while I cook to kind of get in that right mood. And my response was, and I totally forgot that I'd written this in the book. My response was, I change it depending on what I'm cooking.
Yes, you did.
So, so I still, I very much have always felt this way. It's like, well, what do I want to be today? What do I want this meal to be? And I will change everything about it. I'll change what plates I'm going to use, or, what size the servings are even, as well as what music. And of course, what venue. Are we going to eat it in front of a fire? I like to have a picnic in bed personally. And that's a favorite of mine. The crumbs kind of bug me, but okay, I admit it. I like to have a picnic on top of the bed.
So that then we can climb in the
crumbs.
covers.
Yes. No crumbs on my sheets, please. Yes.
Well, and what about those of us who were taught you never eat in bed? Like,
ooh, you got to be a rule breaker. It's exciting.
Come out of hiding. It's safe.
Well, and in all, I mean, as you describe that, it just seems to make sense. We have a wonderful mentor and person we highly respect, Trevor Blake. I mean, he's a physicist. And so my first went like, well, now you're bringing some quantum, these are not woo woo, right? I mean, quantum, the more that we can, everything is swirling energy, right? I mean, we know that from our friend Trevor, who is a scientist, physicist, and we can prove that now. So the more that we can get all that,
stir up the energies of the venue and the food and the music,
create the conditions that make the result inevitable.
Yeah. And do you choose an outfit for the evening as well?
I'm really into the outfit part. Yes, I do. If there's time. I mean, sometimes it's just like, I just want this meal to speak for me, and I'm just wearing the sweatpants I wore all day. But no, if I'm going all out, the outfit is definitely a part of it. Yes.
And so you're intentionally bringing, and this is the part that I really wanted to drive home, the meal of Aphrodisiac is this intentionality about, like you said, the plates and the food and the music and the outfits, right? And the swirling of the mood in the air. And then you get to capitalize it by, this is what I'm hearing you say, the foods and what they mean and their textures and their feels as you feel them in your mouth and et cetera. Yeah. Just sounds delicious.
I think I need to send you actually my second book. You're going to love this book even more. It's called Romancing the Stove. And in that book, I focused every recipe I tried whenever possible to have multiple temperatures and multiple textures in the dishes. Because I feel like it heightened the the sensuality of the meal. That sensory awareness is very different when you're being challenged, when your senses are being challenged. And so that's what with that book, I really focused very hard on that. So I've got to send you that.
Oh, that would be incredible. I would definitely read it and dive into it. So venues that you pointed out, and feel free, let's share some venues just to kind of stir up some creative ideas here. One you highlighted right out of the gate is the kitchen, and it was called the second bedroom, which I cracked up about, right? Clear the table.
Totally. Yes.
And then Is there anything you wanted to say about the kitchen?
Well, I mean, how big is your counter?
Well, it's pretty small, but I have a pretty good sized table.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Because I've got a big island. I designed my kitchen with a big island.
That was very intentional. We could eat standing up and then, of course, use the table for other purposes.
Mm-hmm.
I love that idea. How about living room? I mean, these are just some fun ideas that you wouldn't necessarily think that you could have a romantic dinner in, right? A living room on the floor. Tom and I used to do picnics on the floor like that in front of the fireplace, right?
Yes, it's perfect.
And I love the idea of the roaring fire. Like our little place that we moved into doesn't have a fireplace, so we ordered an electric one that's fantastic and even blows heat out.
Oh, I love it. Oh, that's great. That's
gotta have a fireplace.
And I would think fireplace, would be almost just right a notch or two, or maybe even with chocolate when
the fireplace
to
put them together with the fort.
Yes.
Yeah,
come on.
baby. How about the bathtub? Would you think of that as a venue? Like for a meal and some wonderful time to enjoy foods and each other?
I mean, it depends on how big your tub is.
Yes, I was just going to say.
Because my house had a very, very small tub. And in fact, when we remodeled, I put in a very, very large tub. My very, very large tub would be a welcome spot for a romantic meal. But my old tub, no way.
And I don't even know. You'd have to get pretty creative to do one in a shower, but I suppose it's possible. You got creative enough. Another fun one, a backyard, something outdoors. Even if it's cold, you can bundle up, right? Put out your blanket.
Absolutely.
And I just want to point out that these things are also very novel. And we talk about this in our Follow the Fun segment, that novelty, it just reignites all of our senses. It's not the mundane, the same old thing, that it really reignites and stimulates you to pay more attention, right? To be attunely present.
And I would say for us, for the let's just be non-chauvinistic, for the male energy, shall we say, they think, oh, good gracious. But I cannot overemphasize to that energy that is listening right now that it doesn't take a lot to move the needle with just a little bit of venturing into these places that we would quickly dismiss.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough said?
Fair enough said.
So, I mean, guys, and the guy energy, believe me, it may like, oh my gosh, that's the last thing that I would want to do. But if we would just we pound on this novelty and play, what do little children do? That's all they do. And then when we get adult, we stop doing that, which is really ridiculous. So, challenge yourself. Just take one of these and just, I mean, we're not talking about building a new house here.
Yeah, so true. We have Into the Woods and we have Rocking the Boat, which is great.
Self-explanatory.
Yes. And something I would love to try, just so you know. And of course, then we have our bed, which the bed doesn't just have to be for laying down. The bed could be for many, many things. So I love your venue idea. And so let's put it all together now and inspire us with how to put this romantic dinner together.
Ooh.
Light some fire, baby.
Ooh. So since I mentioned the champagne and sparkling wine, I'm going to say start with that if it's what you like. There's a recipe for a saffron cocktail in Fork Me, Spoon Me that I really, really love. It's called the Saffron Flirtation. And what you do is you toast the saffron threads. Fortunately, I have a friend who is Indian and a very, very accomplished home cook. Mm. So he showed me how to toast and pulverize the saffron threads. Because originally I was trying it with just putting saffron threads in champagne because I thought, well, that's very pretty. And he's like, oh, no. We're gonna take this up a notch. It does the most amazing thing to champagne.
Wow.
So you toast it actually, and then you sprinkle it in the champagne.
Then you sprinkle it in the, now you want to do this with like a brut style champagne. You don't want to do it with the pink champagne like I have. It gives it like this savory quality. It gives it this huge, voluptuous, almost meaty kind of flavor. It's amazing. So that is a great way to start. It's so surprising and it's beautiful and it's celebratory and it's so luxurious. And then for a meal, I always recommend choosing lighter foods. So, and this is all based on your personal preference. I don't want to say, oh, everyone should have, we have an amazing baked Dungeness crab recipe on Eat Something Sexy, everyone should do that because not everyone wants to eat crab, but it would be a great choice. So do something that's a little lighter, whatever that means for you. Avoid things that people always think they want to have, or like a big steak or a big pasta dish, like a splurge kind of, a quote splurge meal. No. Don't do that on a romantic occasion. Fish is a great choice. That fish with mango sauce that we talked about at the beginning. What a wonderful idea. It really is a wonderful idea. So choose something light. And apparently we need to end this meal with a box of dark chocolate truffles and some port, because that sounds like it's going to be a hit around here.
It does sound like it's going to be a hit around here. And why do you suggest something light? I'm just curious.
So when you eat something like, say, a steak, a heavy red meat, all your blood rushes to your stomach to digest the food.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to have the blood flow going to
Other
the
places.
erogenous zones. Yes, exactly. So you don't want to have a meal where your body's having to work to digest it. You're just going to get sleepy. You're going to get tired.
Sure.
And you're not going to get turned on. So yeah, lighter foods are always a great choice.
Oh, I'm so glad I asked that question.
Well, think about it. You don't want to feel like you just had a big turkey dinner,
No.
like you are on Thanksgiving. Everyone's laying on the floor. That probably wouldn't go so well.
Well, gosh, so if we go back to the beginning of the book where we started then, and there was a chosen mango sauce, fish, mango sauce, chocolate, white wine, red wine, and strong cups of coffee.
Yeah, he so knew what he was doing.
I'm going to say this guy was on it. He got coached by somebody really, really well informed.
Yeah, he was on it. That was perfect. And in fact, I know a lot of people say, no, you don't end dinner with coffee. You want to go to bed. Really? You want to go to bed? What? Coffee. This is, if it's a romantic meal, a little bit of coffee at the end of the meal is like one of the best choices you can make, because not only will it give you a little pick me up, a little energy, but it's also a mood elevator.
Oh, wow.
So now you've had your champagne and a little coffee. You're in a really good mood. You've had a nice, light, but delicious meal. It's perfect.
Yeah, you got that novelty and playing out because you're having dinner somewhere new.
Yes.
And you've got the tunes playing in the background, and you can see where, strike while the mood is hot, right? Is that the saying?
Something like that. Yes. I don't know.
Strike while the mood is
or the traditional, I think it's strike while the iron is hot.
Yes.
You're true. You're true.
But I was tracking you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Amy, my gosh, this has been so wonderful. We could spend quite some time here. Let's give a book away while you're here with us before we say goodbye and part ways, shall we? And then don't worry, we're going to give another one away during our Follow the Fun segment after a quick break here. But I would love to do this while you're here.
I love it. Yay.
So we're going to ask you to pick a number between 1 and 100. And then we'll have a lucky winner on the other side of this who is on our fun list.
Cool. Okay. Between 1 and 100, 73.
Oh,
73. Wow. So that makes it easy. I can count back 25. Oh, wow. This is Amy. Amy at coaching.com. So Amy, you are the winner of Fork Me, Spoon Me. How perfect was that? Like that's
And share with us one more time, where can people learn more about you and your wonderful body of work?
You can find me at eatsomethingsexy.com, spelled just like it sounds. I didn't even laugh that time. And, if people have questions for me, I love to answer questions on Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter at Fork Me, Spoon Me.
Beautiful.
I love that. Thanks so much. Happy Valentine's Day to you.
Happy Valentine's Day.
It's been smoking wonderful to be here with you.
Very
tantalizing.
Yes.
Bye-bye, Amy.
Bye.
We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and give away another book here. So don't go away. And then we're going to talk about some Can You Feel It, and just really help you set the mood right here for upcoming Valentine's Day. We'll be right back. Hey, babe, did you know that the average couple spends only 2 hours a day with each other? And the majority of that time is spent eating, watching TV, and surfing social media rather than connecting with each other. And if children are involved, my gosh, it's even less time than that.
I know, babe. That's why you created our conversation cards for connection, because they're the perfect conversation starter. So the next time you're sitting on the couch, rather than turning on the TV or grabbing your phone, pull out a card and get ready for some good old-fashioned laughter and love and connection.
Yeah, you can get your cards at stacybartley.com.
Working hard to put a smile on your face. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back inside the Love Shack. Whoo, that was smoking hot there. Thank you so much to Amy for setting our Valentine's Day right, if you will. We're going to step right into Follow the Fun and give another book, another one, of Amy's book away, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to need some wonderful help from our wonderful engineer extraordinaire, Eric, outside of number 73, which has already been taken.
And I'm sure Eric has taken copious notes to plan his Valentine's Day dinner as well, right?
Yeah,
sir?
Eric, what was your favorite part?
The lack of oysters.
Being that you live in Seattle, that's probably right. A welcome. Do you have a lot of oysters that you come upon in?
Yeah, there's definitely plenty up here, but I'm not a fan, and I wouldn't know the first thing about shucking them. So I was with her on that. Avoid the oysters.
I'm not an oyster fan either, so I was really happy she didn't include those as well.
All right, sir. What number speaking to you besides 73?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with 25.
25.
Okay, this is cork@gmail.com, and there's a whole nother piece in there, but cork@gmail.com. You're also a winner.
And we'll reach out to you, and we'll just ask you for a mailing address, and off it will go to you.
Mm-hmm. Enjoy. And if you get us your physical address here quickly when we reach out to you later this evening, we will get it off before Valentine's Day. There is incredible recipes in here. We didn't talk about this, but there are such wonderful recipes here: drinks, desserts, appetizers, main courses, etc. So if you're not on our fun list, we're going to encourage you to get on our fun list, because we absolutely give giveaways like this the first of every month, and on special occasions when we just feel like we want to as well. And so to set the mood now, like the final piece to our wonderful Valentine's dinners, we got to set the mood, right? We got to do the.
Was this a hard song for you to pick?
Oh, there's so many, but this one right here, Alina Barra's and the Galamites. I didn't say that right. Anyway, this urban flora right here. If Tom ever wants to get me in the mood, this is the one that he needs to put on. And I've actually done a teeny tiny bit of research where others have told me about this song, and they too, when they wanted to get romantic or get, some action going, they would put it on in the background, and girls just happen to love this
just
song.
Give a reminder, everything about, if you're listening live, thank you so much. We appreciate that. But, just because we don't want you to write, or if you're listening on, everything is in one place, all of our show notes, all of our resources. In fact, we're really excited. Not too long ago, our daughter introduced the full episode is transcribed as well, if you want it. And it can all be found on our podcast page, if you will.
Yeah. And as the song says, I can give you what you need. You make me feel all right. Ooh, it's so sexy. So as Tom has already said, go check out our playlist and enjoy. You can have that playing in the background. So I think we've given you everything you need for an incredible Valentine's Day mood setter, right? The food, the venue ideas, the music.
All it takes is your 100% buy-in.
Yeah, and maybe a fun little outfit to top it all off. I can't wait to see what you wear. All right, it's time for us to say goodbye. It's great to be here with you. Happy Valentine's Day, whatever that means for you. And my recommendation is we do Valentine's Day all the time.
Well, and not to be a spoiler, but if Valentine's Day, is like the farthest thing for where you find yourself right now, maybe with you and your special someone, look, we understand that, all kidding aside. So if sometimes these types of days can be really difficult because you're not in a very good place. And I would just encourage you, reach out to us. Crossing our fingers and hope that things go away is not a good strategy. And this is what we specialize in. So reach out to us. We'd be honored to assist you and help you take your next best step.
Oh, and you can always do one of these dinners for yourself.
Absolutely.
All right. Until we see you next time, thanks so much for being here in the Love Shack with us today. Thank you, Amy, Reiley, for your delightful experience here with us, sharing your wonderful words of wisdom and inspiration. Come on back next week and we'll share more conversations with you around sex, love, and relationships right here in the Love Shack. Until we see you again, sending you off with a big squeeze. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks for joining us today in the Love Shack. We hope you came away with something that made your toes tingle.
To learn more about everything you heard on today's show, go to stacybartley.com/podcast.
Love the show? Help us spread the love by sharing the show with others. Okay, everybody, time to go. We got to close the doors to the Love Shack for this week. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Come back next week, though, and join us for another edition of Love Shack Live with Tom and Stacy Bartley.